We will call the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for Tuesday, May the 28th to order. First item of business is we're going to have opening prayer by Lauren Huey from Legacy Church. Lauren, if you're out there, wave your hand. And I don't see Lauren there. So I'm going to ask Alderman Brad King to lead us in opening prayer. And if you would, please stand for the opening prayer. Remain standing for the pledge afterwards.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this great country we live in. We thank you for the freedom we have and the men and women that sacrifice for this freedom, Lord. Thank you for the city that we live in, Bartlett, Tennessee, and be with the leaders tonight as we take care of the business of this city. Be with everyone here. Give us wisdom in decisions that we make. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, Madam Clerk, will you read the future meetings into the record, please?
Family Assistance Commission, June 3rd at 6 p.m. Planning Commission, June 3rd at 6:30 p.m. Beer Board, June 4th at 6 p.m. Bartlett Station Commission, June 5th at 7:30 a.m. City Beautiful Commission, June 6th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now we move to recognitions, and I'd ask our Director of Code Enforcement, Trey Arthur, to come forward. Testing. It says on. Let's see there. May is Building Safety Month, and want to read this proclamation proclaiming May is Building Safety Month here in Bartlett. And our Director of Coaching, anything you'd like to say, Trey?
No, sir. Thanks for letting me be here, and thanks for doing this proclamation.
I won't read all the whereases and what tos, but our city is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential to the role of our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play both in everyday life and when disaster strikes. Our confidence is in resiliency of these buildings that make up our communities achieved through devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, and tradesmen, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others, if we left anybody out, in the construction industry, who work hard year-round to ensure that we have safe construction of all of our buildings. So each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, people all around the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, the resilience and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge that the essential services provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, federal agencies in protecting the lives in Bartlett. And as Mayor of Bartlett, Tennessee, we proclaim May 2024 as Building Safety Month. So join in with me as we recognize our building safety officials. Madam Clerk, will you read the next recognition?
St. Francis Hospital Bartlett 20th Anniversary Proclamation.
I'd like Mr. Sherwin to come forward. And this is a proclamation for 20 years of service to the community, and we've got the brand spanking new CAO, which has been here probably 4 months now. And so, sure, I'd just like you to say a little word about the hospital and the excitement that you've got going on there.
Absolutely, Mayor. Thank you so much. Aldermen, City of Bartlett, thank you so much for this proclamation. To some of our board members who are sitting out there looking at me, I have to say thank you for what you've done. We are excited about what's going on over at St. Francis Bartlett. We are your community hospital, and we are privileged to offer you health care. And that's going to be about the words that I say, Mayor. Thank you so very much.
Oh, me. So, I may brief here and say St. Francis Hospital Bartlett has employed over 10,000 members of the Bartlett and surrounding communities. St. Francis Hospital Bartlett celebrates and embodies the spirit of Tennessee and the city of Bartlett as a foundation of health care for the past 20 years. As Mayor of the City of Bartlett, Tennessee, I proclaim May the 28th, 2024 as St. Francis Hospital Bartlett Day. So again, please put your hands together and be thankful for St. Francis Bartlett. We gotta stop. We gotta stop singing stuff like this. Okay, now we move to approval of the minutes from May the 14th. You all should have those in your packet, and without hearing any corrections, omissions, or errors, Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Move we approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, will you please put the roll on the board? And the minutes from May the 14th passes unanimously. Now we move to the public hearing. Madam Clerk, will you read the first red line in order for me?
Individuals will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak either for or against the item, with a total of 20 minutes for each side. Item 1, Resolution 12-24, resolution to approve a special use permit to allow a school to be located in Christian Life Tabernacle at 9375 Davy Plantation Road within the RE Residential Estate Zoning District.
I would start by saying we received 36 letters from 15 total households of Bartlett citizens, and we received 187 letters from non-residents from 91 households in favor of the special use permit. Those letters were shared individually with the board prior to this meeting, and there is a list that is displayed from all the Bartlett citizens. You'll see up there those that we had received. So now I wish to we open the floor up for those wishing to speak in favor. So if you want to speak in favor of granting the special use permit, please come forward. We ask you that if you are a Bartlett resident, that the Bartlett residents would come forth first. And if time permits, we will allow the non-residents to speak. So at this time, if you're a Bartlett resident and would like to speak in favor of granting the permit, please come forward. When you get to the microphone, please again state your name and address for the record, please.
Jeremy Pate, 9420 Gypsy Cove, Bartlett 38133.
Thank you.
As a resident of Davies Plantation and a parent of 2 children, I fully support having a private school option in our community. Your support for a private Christian school ensures that religious values are upheld and passed on to the next generation. In a world where many influences are prevalent, this school would provide a sanctuary where faith is respected and integrated into every aspect of education. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I am Heather Pate, and my address is 9420 Gypsy Cove in Bartlett, zip 38133. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share my thoughts with you about the special use permit for Christian Life Church. I am a resident of Davies Plantation. I am also an elementary teacher and a parent. I fully support having the private school option in our community. In comparison to other neighboring communities and towns, Bartlett offers very few options as far as private schools. Having a quality Christian-based program would be an asset, especially with the culture of our world today, which is lacking in many in character development as a whole. Christian schools provide a service in our community, one that is definitely needed in our society. I truly believe that we have a responsibility to give back to the community and to create a better future for the next generation. A Christian school would be an investment in the youth of Bartlett. There is no better way to invest in our children, in the generations, than investing in our children. So I understand that there are some concerns about the traffic based on the traffic pulse study. I see that there's not a major issue, but if needed, I feel like Christian Life would put several systems in place so that they can make sure that traffic is not impacted. Ultimately, with all other businesses that are being added to the Bartlett community, which I love where I live, I would love for a quality Christian private school to be one of those businesses that's added. Thanks again for this opportunity, and I hope that you will see the value that a Christian school would add to Bartlett. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Spencer Orlando. I live at 6956 Aspen Hill Drive. I'm here today to advocate for the approval of a church school in Bartlett. As our nation increasingly turns towards private education, Bartlett has the opportunity to join this movement and provide diverse educational options rooted in faith and values. Bartlett has long been known for its strong sense of community, commitment to faith, and family values. However, in today's rapidly changing landscape, the need for a solid foundation of faith and morality is more critical than ever. A church school serves as a sanctuary where integrity, compassion, and respect are not only taught but lived, instilling in students a sense of purpose and responsibility that extends far beyond the classroom walls. A church school enriches our community in countless ways. By making faith a priority, it helps secure that Bartlett stays a place where faith is respected and revered. There is no better place for a church school in Memphis metro area than in Bartlett, Tennessee. We cannot afford to stand idly by as our nation's values erode. Approving the establishment of a church school in Bartlett is an investment in our community's future. It provides families with a valuable choice in education, empowering them to instill their beliefs and values in their children. In conclusion, I urge you to consider the profound impact that the establishment of a church school will have on our community. By embracing faith-based education, we empower families and enrich the educational experience for all our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Tony Pimpo, and I live at 3029 Wiltshire Cove in Bartlett, Tennessee, 38133. Good evening, members of the City Council. I just want to say thank you for your time here today and for your dedicated service to the City of Bartlett. And I'm here to speak in favor of the special use permit for the Christian Life School. I really believe that this will greatly benefit our community. I strongly believe in the importance of having an option for quality Christian education. Attending a private Christian school myself provided me with a strong foundation growing up, both morally and academically, and that has been something that is instrumental in my life and career so far. And so this school would offer a similar opportunity for our children, ensuring that they receive an education that nurtures both their minds and spirits. Many parents in our community wish to provide this kind of an experience for their children, but often resort to homeschooling out of necessity. And I think that the establishment of a Christian Life School would offer a viable alternative to that, and it would relieve the burden on parents, and it would enhance the educational landscape of Bartlett. Pastor Adams and his wife, Christy Adams, have a proven track record in higher Christian education as well. Pastor Adams is involved with the management of a Christian university that recently was voted in for accreditation in California, and that is a testament to their commitment to the highest standards of educational integrity. And I know that their dedication to that would ensure that this school would uphold rigorous academic and moral standards, and would foster well-rounded, responsible citizens that would be a benefit to our community. And personally, I can envision a future where I would have children that attend the school. They would benefit from the values and education that it offers. And furthermore, as a resident, I am interested in preserving our community's character, and the traffic study has clearly shown that the school's impact on local traffic will be minimal, and it would address the concern that was brought up regarding this permit. So, in conclusion, I am confident that this school will not only provide exceptional education, but would also contribute positively to our community in a variety of ways. And so I would urge you to approve this special use permit, and I thank you for considering my perspective today and also for your ongoing commitment to our city's future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Hernandez. I live in 2690 Galaxy Street, Bartlett, Tennessee, 38134. Ladies and gentlemen and esteemed members of the City Council and fellow Bartlett residents, today I stand before you to passionately advocate that I'm in favor of a private Christian school within our beloved city. As a resident who deeply values education and community development, I firmly believe that this addition will not only enrich the educational landscape of Bartlett, but also contribute to the holistic growth and well-being of our children. Let me address what often arises in discussions about new educational institutions. Big scary word, traffic. It's understandable that traffic implications are at the forefront of our minds when considering such proposals. However, I'm here to assure you that based on factual evidence and real-world experience, that should not deter us from supporting the establishment of a private Christian school in Bartlett. Firstly, I want to draw your attention to the comprehensive study that was already conducted in relation to this proposal. The study, backed by solid data and analysis, has shown that the traffic is not a concern. And also, as someone that lives 0.5 miles away from a larger middle school, I can attest to this firsthand. Despite living in close proximity to the school, traffic congestion and safety hazards have not been major issues. So this fact, supported by both empirical evidence and personal experience, should alleviate any apprehensions regarding the potential traffic impact of this private Christian school. Which leads me to my next point, the importance of parental choice in education. Every parent wants what's best for their children, and that includes selecting an educational environment that aligns with their family's values and beliefs. By welcoming a private Christian school into our community, we empower parents to make informed decisions about their children's education. This choice is not just about academics, it's about nurturing the whole child in an environment that reflects their family's beliefs. So I want to say thank you for your attention and consideration. I hope that we move forward with confidence, knowing that we are laying the foundation for a brighter future for Bartlett and for all of its residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Jamin Pimpo. I live here in Bartlett at 3029 Wiltshire Cove, 38133, a few minutes from Davies Plantation, and I'm here to speak in full support of the proposed Christian school. Many years ago, when I was about 9 years old, my own parents made the decision to enroll me in private school because thankfully they had that choice available. I am here with many others tonight because we also want that choice for our children and our grandchildren. Private Christian school made the most profound impact in my own life personally, and therefore the lives of my children as well. The desire to establish a Christian school really stems from seeing a need and wanting to fill it. I believe many parents are looking for more options for their children when it comes to their education. And I think most, if not all of us, agree that nothing is more important to a community as the well-being and education of our young people. We are all wanting that safe place for our kids. This school is going to be an avenue to meet many of those needs, to be able to receive a high-quality education in an environment that will also nurture and instill morals and values at the same time. That's when you really have the ingredients for success. There are those of us, myself included, who don't have school-age children ourselves at this time, yet we still see the need for this type of school in the community, and we're committed to seeing that happen. My husband and I are looking forward to someday having our own grandchildren, and I can't stress enough how much we want our kids, who are now adults, to be able to send their own kids to such a school and not to have to look outside the community for it. There's an old proverb that states, "A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in." I'm hoping we will receive approval tonight so we can plant a school in this community, which I'm thankful to be a part of and will be a blessing to young people for years to come. Thank you so much for letting me speak this evening. God bless.
Thank you.
My name is Dara Orianis. My address is 4704 Hunters Glade Lane, Bartlett, 38002. Help young people. Help small guys, because small guys will be big. Young people will have the seeds you bury in their minds, and when they grow up, they will change the world. This quote by Jack Ma exemplifies what I refer to as the seed effect. Initially, a seed may seem insignificant, sometimes barely visible, but when planted and nurtured properly, it will flourish. Yet its growth is not linear, it is exponential. From a single seed comes a harvest, within which are many more seeds that can be planted and nurtured, thus perpetuating the cycle of growth. Whatever you plant, you will reap on an exponential level. The minds of our children are like a fertile soil, ripe for cultivation. During their formative years, we have the opportunity to plant in them core values that will define them. While much of this teaching occurs at home, the hours they spend in the school system are pivotal. Thus, access to private education options is essential for creating a strong community. As our children mature into adults and assume roles of leadership, both locally and globally, the quality of their education becomes paramount. Education is not just a matter of academic instruction, it shapes the very fabric of our society. And now that I have children of my own who will soon be of school age, I realize even more so that the quality of their education is of utmost importance. Unfortunately, private school options within the Bartlett School District are limited. I advocate not only for me and my children, but for all families in our community who desire quality Christian school options. I wholeheartedly believe that the approval of this special use permit and the establishment of this school would yield far-reaching benefits. It would not only enrich my family, but it would have a profoundly positive impact on the Bartlett community at large, both now and for generations to come. Because just as a single seed is planted and begins the cycle of bearing fruit on an exponential level, the seeds that are planted in the minds of our children will be far-reaching and multi-generational. It will deeply impact not only their individual lives, but also the lives of everyone they touch, both now and in the years to come. Thank you all for everything each one of you does for our community. God bless.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anthony Samuel Pimpo, and I live at 3029 Wiltshire Cove, Bartlett, Tennessee 38133. We live less than 2 miles from the church, and we moved to Bartlett under the leading of God to be a part of this great church, Christian Life Church. No other reason. I say we includes my wife and my 3 adult children. We all moved here simultaneously several years ago to be a part of this great church and the leadership of our great pastor and pastor's wife, which is Caleb Adams and Christiana. I'm sorry. Anyway, I wanted to say this school, the idea of a Christian school means a lot to me. It is actually the avenue in which my wife and her family came to know God. And that's where I met God myself, and that's where I met her. And I actually asked her out on our first date in the Christian school office, with her mom being the secretary, the school secretary. So there's a lot of importance, to me about the Christian school. My son, my eldest son, which you have heard from as well, had the opportunity to go to this Christian school. This school was located in Petaluma, California, and I never had a privilege to go to a Christian school. I wish I had. The benefits that I can see in my wife's life and in her upbringing are tremendous, and she has helped impact me tremendously. I may not benefit directly from this school at this point in my life. However, I may indirectly through our grandchildren, which are yet to be. So not only do I feel like this could be a benefit to me and my family, I believe it can be a benefit to any one of us and all of us and our children or grandchildren. And I just wanted to ask, if you could seriously consider this request. We covet your support, and with all sincerity, I, Anthony Samuel Pimpo, a resident of Bartlett, Tennessee, say thank you for your time and consideration. God bless you all.
Thank you. Next.
There's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, so this would be our last speaker.
Ma'am, since you've been standing, I'm going to let you speak, but if y'all both could be as brief as you can, that would help.
Yes, sir. Will do. My name is Patrick Orianis, and I live at 4704 Hunters Glade Lane, Bartlett, Tennessee, 38002. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I stand before you not just as a concerned citizen, but as a parent deeply invested in the future of our community and the well-being of our children. As a parent of young children, I am profoundly committed to providing them with an education that aligns with our values. Christian education offers a unique blend of academic excellence and moral grounding, which is increasingly important in today's world. This school will not only impart knowledge, but will also nurture character, integrity, and compassion, qualities that are essential for developing responsible and ethical citizens. Approving this permit will benefit our community in multiple ways. First, it provides parents with a choice. In a diverse society, having educational options allows families to select what aligns best with their beliefs and aspirations for their children. A Christian school serves as a beacon for those seeking an education that integrates faith with learning, offering a holistic approach that public schools may not provide. It is a step towards ensuring that our town remains a place where families can thrive, children can receive an education that resonates with their beliefs, and where the community can grow stronger and more united. Thank you for considering this important decision. I respectfully ask for your support in approving the special use permit for Christian Life Church. Thank you.
Ma'am.
My name is Michaela George. I live at 3453 Flintlock Drive in Bartlett, Tennessee, 38135. Mayor Parsons and Aldermen, thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. I am here in support of the special use permit for the Christian school proposed by Christian Life Church at 9375 Davies Plantation Road in Bartlett, Tennessee, 38133. One of the primary concerns that has been raised regarding the installation of the school is increased traffic in the Davies Plantation neighborhood. I understand that in response to these concerns, the church conducted a traffic pulse study at no small expense to themselves. I have read through the entire traffic study, and it shows that the school would have no significant impact on the traffic in the Davies Plantation neighborhood. The final summary of the traffic study begins by stating, and I quote, "Based on the results of the analysis described in the study, there are no roadway or intersection improvements required within the city of Bartlett as a result of the proposed school. I myself am a Bartlett resident, and I drive the Davies Plantation roads by the church almost every single day of my life. And I drive those roads during peak traffic hours. While there are certainly times of higher traffic on these roads, I cannot recall the roads around Davies Plantation clogged with traffic at any point. I am convinced that the school will have little to no impact whatsoever on the traffic in and around the Davies Plantation neighborhood. After diligently reviewing the traffic study, I can find no substantial case to refuse the special use permit for the school. Therefore, as a Bartlett resident, I fully endorse the proposed school, and I encourage the mayor and aldermen to do the same. Thank you for your time and consideration."
Thank you. For those wishing to speak in favor that don't live in Bartlett. Unfortunately, all the residents in Bartlett used your time up, so we apologize for that. And for the row that has the children on there, this is a family-friendly town. You hold our future, so you've got some very obedient kids, and they're doing just fine, and they're not bothering nobody. So, Mom, relax and put a smile on. So now we will move to those wishing to speak in opposition. We received 3 letters from three households of Bartlett citizens against the special use permit. Those letters were shared individually with the board prior to this meeting, and this list is displayed. So at this time, I'd call forward any Bartlett residents who wish to speak against granting this special use permit. And if time permits, we will listen to the non-Bartlett residents. They may speak afterwards. So at this time, if anyone wishes to speak in opposition to granting the special use permit, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please. Who's going to go first?
The against. Put the against ones up. The three that are against. There you go.
I have just come here actually to listen, but I will voice my opposition to it. My name is Elizabeth Fields, and I live at 8839 Hillman Way Drive in Bartlett, Tennessee, 38133, which means that I live less than a mile from where this proposed school is going to be. And I am highly in opposition of it. I can barely get out of my driveway now with regards to the traffic that goes up and down Hillman Way. I can just imagine what a tragedy it would be for me to get in and out of my driveway once the school is put in place. There are a couple of children daycare schools already within a 3-mile radius. St. Paul United Methodist has a church. There's KinderCare right around the street. And I can just tell you that with all this traffic going up and down the road, using Hillman Way as a shortcut is a nightmare. So I don't know what traffic analyses was done. I don't know if Hillman Way was taken into consideration, but I will tell you that the residents on that street are not in favor of this school being added for all this additional traffic. And then, too, when there are special events that are going to be held at the church with regards to the church itself and now the school, it becomes a problem for us. So I would love to see that traffic study that was done to show that this has no impact upon us, because it truly does. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Amber Gott. I live at 3666 Ellen Davies Cove. And I just want to say I appreciate what everybody said about the private school. I'm a big church fan. I'm a Christian. Private schools are great. But this is not about public versus private school or education choice. This is about the location of the said school. On residential property. You chose to put a church on residential property. I don't think there would have been as much support for the church from the neighborhood had we known how this was going to evolve. And I think, too, it's about the Pandora's box this is opening. What started as a small church on residential property has blossomed now into a school. And are we going to be back here a few years from now wanting another mega building, wanting more school? There's more appropriately zoned property in Bartlett in which to put a private school. I think a private school in Bartlett would be great. I just don't think it's great on residential property, because when you have 150 cars coming out of the parking lot to a 4-way stop, there's only a limited place those cars can go. So it is going to create traffic. It's still not about traffic, though. It's about picking residential property on which to put a business. And a lot of the neighborhood is opposed to it. There weren't a lot of letters, but we did conduct a survey, and there was a lot of pushback on it. And I think there's more appropriately zoned property for this. And that's it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Eric Gott, 3666 Ellen Davies Cove. Just a couple of points. No one's opposed to the school. The opposition is to the location in a residential neighborhood and the fact that it requires an amendment to the special use permit to begin with. There's already a private Christian school in the neighborhood less than a mile away from the proposed school. There's no need to have a proposed 50,000 square foot facility, which perspective-wise, that's half the size of Sam's Club, on a residential street in a quiet neighborhood. The intention of the neighborhood character to have a huge facility across the street also conflicts with Davies Manor and its intent. My opinion is that the neighbors of our neighborhood trust their elected officials to keep a large development from being introduced into the neighborhood unnecessarily. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Floyd Fields. I'm at 8839 Hillman Way. I've been a resident over 25 years. All three of my kids grew up here, raised here. It's not about, I oppose it, but I'm not opposing the school. I'm just opposing the location. I've been, like I said, I've been there 25 years, so I've seen how everything around us has grown. The traffic, it will impact us. Also, Pastor Adams stated at one of the meetings that he wanted to expand. He wanted to start small, maybe I think it's 1 through 5th grade or whatever, and then expand. So as the school expands, that will affect our quality of life. We moved to that neighborhood. Everyone loves that neighborhood, and we don't want to see it change or go down. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to be recognized to speak in opposition?
Hello, I'm Kat Hansen. I'm not a resident. I'm at 2603 Dromedary Drive, Memphis 38133. But the reason I'm here is because I'm actually the executive director of Davies Manor, which shares the street with Christian Life. So we are exactly opposite them. We do not oppose the school. We oppose where it is because that is a very small street. And we love schools. We do our field trips with public schools, private schools, Christian private schools, home schools, any schooling environment you can imagine we have done a field trip for and helped shape young minds. But we also do our daily tours. We have been doing our daily tours since 1975, where we let people come in and go through the house and we share our mission of preserving and interpreting Shelby County history. To do that, we need to have good access. We are open from 12 to 4 for those daily tours, and that is exactly in the window when they're going to be picking up children. As someone who's organized quite a lot of field trips for quite a lot of different ways of dropping off, picking up, anything you can imagine. You can tell, you can ask, you can beg, you can incentivize any way you can imagine. People are going to do what they always do for picking up kids, which is line the road. And then my person who is coming to a small historic site to learn history can't get there. They turn around and I don't get income that we depend on as a small historic site. I can't remember the exact number of members for the church, but I do remember thinking that is more members than my historic site has. So we're a very small local site. We've been here for, well, technically since 1830, but we're still here and we're trying to do our work and our mission of preserving and interpreting history, which we cannot do if people cannot get to us. That is a very narrow street. It has very few, very little shoulder. We just don't want to be lost with this new incomer coming in and just taking away anyone who might want to come and learn with us.
Thank you. Anyone else? We stated that we would have the Bartlett residents speak first, and we do have some time left. Is there anyone that is not a Bartlett resident would wish to come speak against granting the variance? Going once, twice. 3 times, so this will close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and now we move to unfinished business. Madam Clerk, will you read the first item under unfinished business?
Resolution 12-24, resolution to approve a special use permit to allow a school to be located in Christian Life Tabernacle at 9375 Davies Plantation Road within the RE Residential Estate Zoning District.
At this time, I'd ask Mr. John Horn with our engineering department and Mr. Trey Arthur with our building department to come forward.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. As you know, in developments like this with a school, the typical requirement based on our ordinances is for the school to come forward through the Planning Commission process for a special use permit. And so this request was heard on April the 1st of this year and was approved by the Planning Commission with a favorable recommendation for approval for this.
Thank you. Mr. Arthur?
So it does require a SUP, a special use permit. Any of the conditions that would be laid out for the special use would be enforced on the special use permit. So occupancy requirements. I know at one point they mentioned a cap on the number of students that would be in the school. So if that was one of the conditions of the approval, then we would enforce the condition of the approval for the number of occupants in the building.
Thank you. Is there any questions that the board may have for either Mr. Arthur or Mr. Horn? Mr. King?
Trey, is it not correct that most churches are not zone commercial, that they are zone residential?
Most churches move into residential developments, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Horn, would you please, I know there was some question that was in some of the comments about the traffic study, how it was done. Could you elaborate a little bit about what this traffic study encompassed?
Absolutely. So Pickering Firm did this traffic study, and they're very capable of doing this type of transportation study. So as you know, the location of the church where the school is potentially proposed is on Davies Plantation between Davies Manor and Hillman Way. And so both of those intersections were analyzed for the traffic flow. And also the intersection of Davies Plantation and Canada Road, even though that's in Lakeland, that one was analyzed as well by the Pickering Firm. And so those 3 intersections were graded as a level of service A. Now, what does that mean? It's like a report card for your traffic intersection. So if you have a traffic intersection or a roadway that is performing and traffic is moving very efficiently and safely, the highest ranking for that roadway is A. A poor road, whether unsafe or inefficient, is going to get an F. And so Davies Plantation, through those 3 intersections, is through the 2 in Bartlett, is performing at a level of service A. And so currently, and so what this traffic study did was to project into the future. And what was done is, and I'm reading from the Planning Commission comments, the addition of 50 students in 2025 still results in a level of service A at both of these intersections in Bartlett. And like I said, that level of service A that's excellent. That's an excellent, efficient performing roadway and intersection. The addition of 150 students in 2030 drops the level of service to level of service B, but only in the PM. The rest of the day, it still continues to perform at a level of service A. So, and that's with the projection of 150 students. Level of service B is still a great performing road as far as safety and efficiency and performance. The intersection at Canada Road is currently at C. Now again, that's Lakeland, and the Pickering study is basically giving us data that it's on the verge of needing to be retimed anyway, and so that's only going to get worse. But I would say that that's only going to get worse only because of the Ashmont development that is at that intersection, not any kind of contribution by the traffic that we're seeing being projected as a result of this school.
The Alderman Reeves.
As it pertains to the special use permit, and Trey might have to answer this one, it seems to me that having 150 as kind of that maximum number into the future may cause some consternation. So my question is, could we cap it at a lower level starting out and then require to come back to us for further approval to increase the enrollment to make sure that we're not having traffic issues instead of opening it all the way up for 150? Do we have the capability to amend the special use permit to do that?
I guess if we look at the raw data of the traffic study, the addition of 150 students, even in 2030, this roadway and these intersections remain at a level of service A, except for in the PMP.
I'm trying to find a middle ground between the people who live out there and between the people who want to start a school. And it seems to me that there's a concern that it's going to create a lot of traffic, but if we approved it at 50, see how it works, and then come back and improve it and then increase it later based upon what we see, to me that feels like that would be prudent and maybe a little more palatable, because then at that point we can just keep it at 50 if it's not going well. Does that make sense to you? Is there anything that keeps us from doing it? And I'd like the pastor to weigh into it at some point. I'm trying to find a middle place where we can all agree and we can get this done. So, Trey?
In any SUP, you could add conditions to that SUP, and they would be bound by those conditions or be in noncompliance for it. So if they set it at just a number of 50 for now and they wanted to come back later and increase that number,
we would just amend the special use permit again.
Amend the special use permit. Now, they're bound too by state of Tennessee, Department of Education, to conform to all local requirements too. So if that's, their licensure would depend on what would be approved or what was a condition of the SUP.
I would just like to see if it'd be acceptable to the pastor to come up with something in the middle, if that would be possible.
Duly noted. Is there any more questions for John or Trey from the board? Monique, did you have your hand up? Okay, good. So there's no more questions for them. Pastor, you mind coming forward and answering that question? Please.
Yes, sir. Caleb Adams, 4162 Swan Hill Drive, Lakeland, Tennessee, 38002. Ms. Reeves, I appreciate your efforts to find middle ground, and obviously we want to be workable with whatever. That is not our preferable deal. For example, we spent $15,000 on the traffic study. That was a cost. We were happy to put that out. But we've already been capped at 150 students, and it's a 141-page traffic study. It's pretty thorough, and we don't know how fast it will grow. Our vision, keep in mind that, and Mr. Gott, he mentioned it was a 50,000 square foot. It's 17,400 and some change, so it's not 50,000. There's only 7 classrooms. We're not only limited by the 150 cap that the Planning Commission gave, but we have 7 classrooms that accommodate approximately 20 students apiece. So there's a lot more, and we're looking at millions of dollars to build a building. All that to say, if we get a cap of 50 students, and we'll say 3 years from now, we come back, I envision, it's a whole lot of money to go through this. I'm sure it's going to call for another traffic study. And
that's not what I'm looking for. You can come back and say we need to add to it, and if everything looks good and we're not having any issues, we could very easily approve it. I'm just looking for a middle place.
Sure.
I'm looking at something I can vote for. I can't vote for it the way that it is right now, but if we can amend it to where we have that stepped approach, I can, and I will.
Sure.
I'm not saying that.
Where you're coming from.
You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to.
I do. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Personally, I think 50 would be a little bit low. Could we up?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, but
Thank you, Pastor.
Happy work. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Before we go to a motion in a second, I'd ask Alderman Young, this came with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission. Any comments that you would like to say?
I think it was discussed at a public hearing at the Planning Commission. All these things were taken into consideration. What we heard initially there was that it was going to start with 50, but hope to grow to 150. I'm not sure a 50-student school was considered to them sustainable. And after, we may have even had more than one discussion about this, and the Planning Commission felt with the recommendations they made, it was okay for approval, considering the traffic study showed no difference in the level of service at 50 students versus 150 students.
Thank you, Alderman Young. Was there any additional Planning Commission members in the crowd? There's Kim. Okay, Kim. Excuse us, folks. She had a little difficulty getting here, but she's here now.
Sorry for the delay. So I guess you guys were just discussing the question of whether or not 50 would be appropriate. I believe that was the intent, to start out with 50 and then gradually add until they got to 150 students. So yeah, I believe that if it's acceptable to Christian Life Tabernacle, that it be approved at 50 at this time, then yes. But if not, and this board still feels that's not appropriate, then that's fine too, but maybe not with them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out if what I'm reading is we want to start with 50.
Correct.
Is 50? Can you make it? Can you live? I mean, can you run a school with 50? I mean, are you going to go broke? Is the overhead too high for 50? What's the number? What's the minimum number? Because I feel like I'm not getting the full story about what the minimum number is, about what you need to make this thing work. So what is it? And I'm not asking, and I don't know if you know the answer to that question. Do you?
Not really, but I think if they put 50 out there starting, then maybe that is acceptable for a certain period of time.
That's not really what I heard from the pastor, though.
Okay.
That's not what from the pastor I heard. Well, I don't know if that's going to be sustainable. I don't know if it's financial. I don't know. So I'm okay with doing something in the middle. Mm-hmm. I just need to know what the number is. Is it 50? Can we start with 50 and then see if it works out for the community? And if not, and if it does, then we can increase it next year. You know, if things are working out right. I mean, I'm just looking for a middle ground. That's it. I'm not looking to kill it. I'm just looking for something acceptable to the Davies community and something acceptable to the church. That's it.
Kim, I don't think you know the answer to that. So,
I mean, is the pastor here?
Yes, he is. So we could, Pastor, are you willing to make a statement and answer this Alderman's question? Alderman Reeves' question.
50 students is unacceptable and not sustainable long term.
For 1 year?
1 year, it would, I think, yes, feasibly for 1 year, but long term, that's not sustainable.
I get that. So if you implement it, start with 50 kids, we saw how the traffic worked out, and you come back and you're like, guys, we need to increase this to 100 next year, we have to make it. Traffic looks good. Would you want to do that?
If that's our only option, yes, that's not what we want to do. But if that's the only option, we'll concede to everybody's better judgment.
Is there, Alderman Young?
It was my understanding, and Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, at planning, this was proposed to begin as a 50-student school.
Yes.
I think that's what Alderman Reeves is saying. Is it not, David?
What I'm saying is, can we go ahead and just cap this at 50, and then let's revisit it next year to see if we need to increase it?
Well, again, my impression was it was going to begin at a 50-student school, and perhaps I think the intention was for it to grow, but it was never stated at planning that we were going to be a 150 student school to begin with.
So what we stated from the get-go, and back at the community meeting we had with Davies, we hope to start with around 50 kids. That is not sustainable financially long term. We anticipate We'll probably top out somewhere around 100 long term. We put the 150 as the maximum way out there number. We don't know if we'll ever hit 150 students. But if we lock in at 50, here's the predicament that puts us in. We start a school, massive amount of money, and our church should be fronting a significant amount of money to get it off the ground, a significant amount. The school will need to grow up to about 100 kids for it to really work well fiscally. But here we're in a situation, if you guys put us at 50, we get the school parents make the choice. We start people in their academic trajectory there, and then we come back a year from now, and I don't know how often the makeup of this board changes. I'm a little clueless how all that works, but if we get a decision next year that says no, it has to stay at 50, we're quickly going to get to a place where we're financially unable to sustain what we started out to do because we have this arbitrary cap. And as we've seen with a handful of the members of the community, there is no pleasing them. We can get the traffic study, which is not based on arbitrary opinion, it's based on scientific fact. These companies do massive amounts of work for the Memphis metro area. And so when we bring empirical evidence that the traffic is good, but we still have people say, well, no, it doesn't matter. We're put in a tough situation if we come back in a year and we've produced similar results as what we have now. The traffic is good, it's fine, it's going to be okay. And what do we do at that point?
Totally understand. Thank you, Pastor. So at this time, I'd want to try to get it to a motion. With discussion's gone a little further than I wanted without a motion, but I don't want to. Kevin, I'll recognize you, and then let that be the last question, okay? If you.
Sorry, I'm sorry to ask you to come down for the third time.
Get your exercise.
Come on down. I have some questions. I was at the community meeting, and I heard you say that the church was going to do the expansion regardless whether you got school or not because you're growing the church.
Yes, so yes. Our annex building, right now our current building is 18,500 feet, mostly sanctuary. We've got 4 classrooms, which is used for Sunday school. We need more Sunday school classrooms. Right now for like our church dinners, we have to do a little setup in the lobby, which isn't large enough. So this annex building would be a multi-purpose building. It will house a large kitchen, 7 classrooms, and it'll be a big multi-purpose room that can be used as a gym and fellowship hall area. So we're planning to build the building with or without a school. And so, because we need the space to expand ministry.
Right, and hopefully the school would pay for the church, so the church isn't footing the bill of the expansion, right?
The church is paying for the expansion.
I'm sorry, they are, but you hope the school, because I went to a small private school, class of 30 kids, so I understand, that, but I know it's been very hard on them financially. So I'm curious, we're talking about the 50 students to start with, and 150, and you're hoping to get like 140, like 20 kids a class for 7 classrooms. So obviously this has been in planning for a while. So what kind of waiting list do you have?
No, we haven't started that until we're approved. We're not starting a waiting list until we have surveyed for interest. We've had interest now, as I've stated previously, this school will be 80% church members and 20% non-church members.
Well, that you hope, because you don't have a waiting list.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Right.
I'm just curious because it seems like it's been in planning for a while, and I know a daycare that's opening that's had a planning list for 2 years. That way they could go to the bank and make sure it's financially feasible and stuff like that. I'm just concerned, kind of as a private school kid. Hopefully that's be financially stable.
The church will carry the weight of the cost of the building. We want the school to carry the financial weight of the school that's in the building. Yeah. The school would not be paying for the building.
Right. Okay. So, so you must have some kind of business plan for how many students would break even, or help you pay a profit. I mean, not a profit, but to help so the church isn't burdened with the cost of the building.
Yeah, we're hoping to hit somewhere between 80 and 100 students. That's where we need to be.
Okay. Thank you.
Pastor, reluctantly say it, but thank you again.
Sorry, I'm not going to ask you to come down a fourth time.
Miss Kim, would you have anything, additional comments?
Yes, I'm not sure if it was brought up, but the original application stated that they would have 50 kids by 2025 and 150 kids by 2030. So I don't know if that helps, but I just wanted to put that out there.
I'm trying to get to a motion, but I can't deny a lady the opportunity to speak. So let me, Miss Monique, I've lied to everybody else.
Okay, so Pastor, I'm sorry.
You might want to sit on the front row.
So I'll say this first, and I know we got to move quickly. My daughter went to a small church school, 5th grade. I find it very important, and where she is now today is because of that, from 5th through 8th grade. So I wanted to start off by saying that. So I know the importance of that. My dilemma is two things. First, have to lean on what Alderman Reeves said about starting off small, and then also knowing that initially started off at 50 and now we're at 150. So I'm in that vein too, because we don't know truly how that's going to affect the community with traffic. Because I know, again, saying that my daughter went to a small private church school on Germantown Parkway with St. Luke Lutheran Church. That's where it was the school there. So I know how that traffic got over there, and then how it kind of made that neighborhood congested. So that I have a dilemma with that. Secondly, I'm hearing that what the need of the church is an annex building.
Yes.
Okay, and in that annex building, you're going to have additional 7 classrooms, because you need that just from a church perspective. Okay.
We need some of those classrooms, not all of them.
Some of those classrooms, but you need it because you have very small space. You have 3 classrooms right now, correct? 4. Okay. So, but you're going to house the church there, and it's independent. The school there. The school is not being created to fund the annex building. No. It's standalone. Correct? It's
right. The school will take care of its own expenses, but the church provides the building.
Okay, but you need the annex building due to the congregation and the church growing. So whether the school is there or not, you do still need that building.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to just get clarification on, because for me that's kind of two different things. Because hearing that you have 3 classrooms already, correct, four in the building, correct?
Yes.
And did you ever think about using those classrooms to start off the school before you grew into needing?
Well, our classrooms are small, and we use them for ministry. It's not well suited. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but to add a school onto our current space it would be quite challenging to do that.
Okay, and then the parking for the school, like currently, are you going to have to add, with the annex building, are you going to have to add additional parking?
No parking. It doesn't increase any capacity for our church, so there's no additional parking requirements for the annex building. We're over far more parking than what code requires. Code is 1 space for every 4 seats in the sanctuary. We've got 1 space for every, I think, 2.1 seats. So we're doing pretty good on parking.
Okay. Again, I'll be done. It's same thing as Alderman Reeves. It's just that I'm saying the annex building is needed for the church, whether there's a school there or not. The school is not going to fund the annex building. It's not paying for the annex building. You have to have that.
That's correct.
Either way.
But back what I was trying to articulate earlier, at 50 students, it's going to be hard to sustain a school long-term 50. So let's throw a hypothetical where we start with 50 students and we come back in a year. I presume it's going to call for another traffic study. We dump another bunch of money to do what we've already done. The traffic study comes back good, just like this one did. But you still will have some people that will still say, no, we don't want it to increase. It's a problem. We don't want him to traffic. So then if we have a permanent cap at 50 students, that's not financially solvent year after year. So that puts us in a very uncomfortable position where parents are coming to build a relationship with our school, put their kids in our school, when there is a distinct possibility in a year or two, we have to go back and say, you know what, we have to shut the school down because we're capped at a 50 student level, which is not financially feasible.
So I'm done after this. Okay, so the school that my daughter attended, it was a school of 48 kids, and it was a total of 3 classrooms, and it was attached to the St. Luke Lutheran is in the front. Right behind it is their annex building, and that school has been around 30 years. So that is why I'm asking the question, because if you're able to utilize the space you have now, I believe in church growth. I really do. I'm a part of starting and planning a church and all of that. That I have experienced that, and I know that from a church perspective and a school perspective, that school was around, very productive. A lot of great kids came out of that school, and they operated with 3 classrooms, the church gym, and 48 kids. At the time that she was there, and it's probably so much more expensive now, but at the time that my daughter was there, it was about $7,000 a month. And they operated, when my daughter started, it was right at the 30th year. So I just wanted to get that information. So thank you, Pastor.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, can I make one point?
Yes, sir.
Everybody needs to understand, and I think Director Taylor will. This has nothing to do with adding the building. That building was part of the original design when we approved the building, the church to begin with. This addition was part of that. All they're doing with that is they have perfect permission to build that right now. So whether it's a school in it or not, the actual building part is already approved. I just thought there's been a lot of discussion of the building taking care of the school that was approved a long time ago.
Move we approve. Let's put it up in front of the body.
Yeah, so let's, Kim's been standing Thursday, let her, then that's it. Kim, what's your comment you have to make? It was important enough for her to stand up. I want to recognize her.
Yeah, I don't believe this issue, it's been sort of brought up, but not exactly. So the traffic issue. One of the things that the church agreed to at the PC meeting was that unlike a lot of the other schools around that have traffic backed up in the roadways, coming outside and, congesting the neighborhoods, they actually have a plan to have the students brought onto the property, and the parents will park in the church parking lot and bring the kids to school. So they will not be lined up out in the main roadway. I don't know if that came up, but it doesn't sound like it. But that is not their thing. They're not planning on having any traffic congestion or lines out into Davies Plantation Road. All the traffic is to be contained on their property.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. So at this time, the chair would entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
A motion to approve or disapprove?
Motion to approve.
Motion approve.
Motion to approve and second. Now discussion, Alderman Reeves.
Yeah, I'd like Pastor to come back up real quick. One more question for you. Well, I got a couple of questions still left. So, your perspective, do you want us to vote on it the way that it is? Or is there a middle ground to where we could all get on board with it.
My hopes is that you will vote on it the way it is.
The way that it is. That's what you want, right?
That's
okay.
what we want.
The other question that I have for you, do you plan, if approved, to take any state voucher money?
Well, it was my understanding that that got nixed.
Right now, but within the next 3 or 4 years, we probably will see that approved in one form or the other. Is it your intention to take public school money to fund your private school?
I guess we'll cross that bridge when we
Perfect.
would come to it. Now, I don't know the particulars. I know that was a big debate, but what we don't want is for the government system to tell us as a Christian school what we can teach and not teach. And I suspect that if administrations change, we might be in a predicament that says you can't teach the Bible if you're taking government money. So I'm always a little bit leery of government funding.
Last thing, how do you plan to? Are you going to be an accredited school? Or are you going to be more like a homeschool co-op?
I'm familiar with the homeschool co-op, but there is a curriculum called ABECA, the ABECA system. That's what we're looking.
You're going to be a homeschool co-op.
I'm sorry?
You're going to be a homeschool co-op, right?
That's not what we're planning to be.
You're going to be an accredited school.
Yeah, through ABECA. That's what we're leaning to. We haven't made a final decision there yet.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Alderman Griffin, did you
I was just going to say, the ABECA curriculum is accredited by the state of Tennessee. There are a number of Christian schools who are accredited by the state of Tennessee because of use of that curriculum.
And you'll have accredited teachers.
Yes.
Is there any more discussion from anyone? Alderman Williams, Alderwoman, Wonder Woman.
So, again, I believe in church schools. My daughters are 5th to 8th grade. My only concern, I go back to, and I guess it's just a verbiage thing, saying that the school cannot sustain itself if we went with the 50. Because with the 50 starting off, and that's 50 for me, not saying requiring another traffic study. Let's just see how it goes, from a traffic perspective, the neighbors, in the community kind of get used to it. Oh, this is not so bad. Okay. And to me, it kind of gives you a win-win on both sides. Helps the community see from a church, okay, this is not really affecting us that much. Okay. And then you come back and this is going good. Let's add a few more. We can get another 50. Now we're up to 100. And then they see, oh, that's not that bad either. Versus going right off into 150 land. Not saying that you're going to get that many students. It would be great, because a Christian education is great. But it gives everybody a little bit more comfort level to see how it's going to work out versus just fully jumping on into the ocean. Not the pond, but the ocean.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say the school cannot sustain itself, you already have permission to build a building. Whether you have a school in there or not, you're going to have the building because you need it for the things that you're doing within the church.
Yeah, so let me explain a little bit about, and as you probably know from your experience with Christian schools, there's 2 models that you can set up with. One is called the facilitator model. This is where you typically will have multiple grades in one room, sometimes 3 and 4 grades at a time. We're hoping to have 2 grades at a time. But a facilitator model is where you have one accredited teacher that, and with ABECA, they've got a whole system for this where you use their instruction videos and stuff. So every kid's got online access to ABECA, which it's a great program. It works great. Then you have the model where every grade gets a teacher, or every 2 grades gets a teacher. Well, under a facilitator model, if you set a school up that way, you can have a lot of grades, small amount of kids for a greatly reduced amount of money. And I certainly won't knock the facilitator model. It works great, and I wouldn't rule it out that we would not be open to do that. our preference is that we're able to have accredited teachers and pay them a living wage, which is a lot more, it's going to cost us a lot more money to do it that way.
Okay. My daughter's school had more than one grade in one classroom with accredited teachers.
And a lot of small schools do the facilitator model because they have to budget-wise. It's just what they have to do, and get really great results from doing that. Our hopes were that we could get the student count within a couple of years to where we can.
Could you start off in one model and then move to and then change?
I think so. It's not preferable to do that, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm asking all this, in the word preferable, and I don't want to speak for you, but when we're looking at it, I'm looking at, okay, I think Christian education is great. I think that to do something like this would be really good for our students, and we know just from a morality standpoint, everything that goes on in the world and on everything that they see. So to be able to bring it back home and teach them real core Christian values, not just from church perspective, but in a school setting, is great. But we also as a board and as a community have to look at both sides. We want to be able to give that. We also want the people in the neighborhood to feel comfortable and don't feel bombarded. Because when we choose one side and say, okay, hey, it's your way, and not look at the other side and say, okay, they're not comfortable with this, even though they believe in the Christian education, because no one has gotten up and said, I don't want it there because it's a Christian school. They're saying that they're concerned with the traffic and what's going to go on in their neighborhood with the amount of traffic. Because whether it's a parking or not, I know how that goes. My daughter's school was the same way. You go in the parking lot, you park. It wasn't any like by the door and pick up, but it got congested and it ended up in the neighborhood. So preferably, I know what you all would want. Preferably, the neighborhood would want the traffic not to increase because, as the lady spoke that lived on, I can't remember the street right now, she's having a hard time getting out of the driveway already. So, again, I go back to what Alderman Reed said. Would you consider, because, starting off at 50 or lower and then allowing time to move up? Because I don't think anything in what he stated that he said that we're going to require you to have another traffic study. We're just saying give everybody time to get used to and see how it works out.
So let me say this, and we will consider whatever. You're the leaders of our community, and you do an excellent job. But once again, what do we base the consideration on in the hypothetical that we have 50 students and come back and ask for another 50 a couple of years down the road? We're always going to have people that say we don't want anything. We bought 21 acres, which was a blighted field, a subdivision that was in foreclosure. It was an eyesore. When we bought the property, the president of Davies HOA stood right here at this podium, and he said on public record that we would be running residents down in the streets with our cars. Well, going 6 years into it, we've yet to hit the first resident. And what we found is that there is always a small but vocal element of people that don't want a church. Another resident spoke up in a public forum recently. He said, we don't need any church near Davies Plantation. So we'll have that sentiment. So when you guys are making the decision in a couple of years down the road about increasing the students from 50 up to more, how do we base that?
Yeah, I mean, from my viewpoint.
Was you through, Mrs. Williams?
Sorry.
I'm going to let you get finished.
The base point would be that we have the data. We know that it has not affected the community. Just like now, whoever said that before, we know that it didn't happen, and not, but at that point we have the data to say, okay, they've had the school, whether it be 6 months, a year, and it's going fine. Let's increase. Mm-hmm. So, but you have the data. Right now, we have the data from the traffic, but again, to me, even as being a Christian, I find it very one-sided to say that we don't want to give the opportunity. We're not saying no. We're saying can we work together in this and start it off small and grow. That way you then you get the buy-in of the neighbors, like, this isn't that bad. And once people start seeing things, that's just life. A lot of times people are going to talk against it, and then they start saying, oh, this is okay. But we're not even given the opportunity or even easing up or considering the neighborhood. If we go that route with 150, it's just we're considering just the church and not the neighborhood. So that's where my concerns fall, and I'll be quiet.
Alderman Reeves.
I call the question.
Second.
The question's been called and properly seconded. That don't require a vote, I don't think.
2/3.
2/3 vote. So, although just we'll do a hand raise. Those in favor of calling the question, raise your hand. So we got more.
Jack.
We've got more than 2/3. So, at this time, the motion on the floor is to approve. Yes, sir. For right now. For right now, the motion on the floor is to approve Resolution 12-24 with 150 students. So that's the question.
I believe it's with 50 students to begin to grow to 150 by 2030. I think was.
Nobody made the motion.
It can be 150 next year.
Well, it probably could. You might be.
Brad, you was the motion maker?
Yep.
So would you clarify your motion and state your motion, please, for the record?
Well, the motion's approved as presented to us.
Yeah. Okay. That's just right. Which was, as presented, was 150, if I'm not correct.
Max 150.
Okay. Right. Is that the way this, you was the second, Dave? Or who was it?
I second it.
Oh, you say that was the second. So both, we have a clear understanding. I'll just say it. I want to make sure everybody understands that the motion on the floor. Jack says.
I second calling the question.
When he seconded the question, but I think you put it on the floor. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So was it as is, David?
Yeah.
No, just leave it as is.
Okay. All right. Alderman Quinn.
Yes.
Question's been called.
We need to vote on it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Once the question is called, no other discussion.
We have 4 votes voting in favor of the resolution, so motion passes. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 2 into the record, please?
Second reading of Ordinance 24-03, an ordinance to create a stormwater utility and provide for funding of operation.
Mr. Dick Phoebus from Director of Finance.
As
and Pastor, that means you can stay seated now.
As presented at our last meeting, this ordinance creates a stormwater utility and provides for funding of that operation. Fees for it would be $4 for residential property, a minimum of $6 for commercial, with a maximum of $300, and it'll be based on the impervious area of each property.
Thank you, Mr. Phoebus. This is the second reading, and if a motion is made, please include the public hearing set for June the 11th.
Move we approve and set public hearing for June 11th.
Properly motioned and properly second. Any discussion on item number 2? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, will you present the roll? Ordinance 24-03 passes unanimous. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 3 into the record, please?
Second reading of Ordinance 24-04, an ordinance to amend Title V, Chapter 5, City Service Fee of the City of Bartlett Code of Ordinances. Again, Mr. Dick Phoebus from the Director of Finance.
Also, at the last meeting, this ordinance amends Title V, Chapter 5, removes the $2.50 service fee and makes it $5.50, and provides for the expenditure of those funds for cybersecurity and other technology needs.
Again, this is just the second reading, and please state setting the public hearing for June 11th if a motion is made. Chair to entertain a motion at this time.
Move we approve. Set the public hearing for June 11th.
Properly motioned, properly second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, please present the roll. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk, read item number 4 to the record, please.
Second reading of ordinance 24-05, an ordinance to adopt the 2024-2025 General Fund, Street Aid Fund, Solid Waste Fund, General Improvement Fund, Drug Enforcement Fund, DEA Enforcement Fund, Drainage Fund, Parks Improvement Fund, E-Citation Fund, Bartlett City School Fund, Utility Fund, Debt Service Fund, and Capital Improvements Fund budgets.
Mr. Dick Phoebus.
Also, at the last meeting, we introduced the first reading ordinance 2405, which adopts the 24-25 general fund budget as well as other funds of the city. And it also had a Schedule A and B, which was amended at that meeting, and those amended amounts have been included in the second reading of this ordinance.
So again, second reading. Please state the public hearing for June the 11th if motion is made. Chair, you entertain a motion to approve.
Move we approve and set the public hearing for June 11th.
Second.
Properly motioned, second. Any discussion? Chair hears no discussion. Madam Clerk, please call for the roll. Ordinance 24-05 passes unanimous. Madam Clerk, will you please read item number 5 into the record, please.
Second reading of ordinance 24-06, an ordinance to levy and assess a tax rate for ad valorem taxes upon real property and personal property in the city of Bartlett for the tax year 2024.
Mr. Dick Phoebus, you're recognized.
This ordinance sets a tax rate for the 2024 real property and personal property in the city of Bartlett at $1.73 per $100 of valuation.
Again, this is the second reading, and please state the public hearing is set for June the 11th. Just for the folks at home and the folks in the audience, that is no property tax increase. Chair, to entertain a motion at this time.
Move we approve and set a public hearing for June 11th.
Second.
Properly motion to second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, will you please present? Wow, that was good. Ordinance 24-06 passes 6-0. We now move to consent agenda. We have 4 items on the agenda, and any alderman can remove any single item they'd like for separate discussion. Does any alderman wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? Seeing no one wish to move anything from the consent agenda, Madam Clerk, will you read the 4 items into the record, please?
Item 1, purchase 1 2024 Ram 2500 Tradesman Crew Cab 4x4. Item 2, purchase of 1 Toyota Camry Hybrid LE. Item 3, Planning Commission report for May 2024. Item 4, Treasurer's report for April 2024.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move we approve.
Been properly motioned.
Second that.
And second. Madam Clerk, will you please present the roll? Consent agenda passes 6 unanimous. Under new business, we have four items. So, Madam Clerk, will you read item number 1 into the record, please?
Item 1, set a public hearing for June 25, 2024 for Resolution 17-24, resolution approving a special use permit to allow a planned residential development to be located at 4570 Billy Mayer Road within the RS-118 single-family residential zoning district.
Again, the purpose is to set a public hearing for June the 25th. Please include that in your resolution motion for 17-24. Chair would entertain a motion.
I move we set a public hearing for June 25th for Resolution 1724.
Properly motioned. Is there a second?
Second.
And second. Any discussion on Resolution 17-24? Hearing no discussion at this time, Madam Clerk, present the roll. Resolution 17-24 passes with a 5-1. Madam Clerk, please read item number 2 into the record, please.
First reading of Ordinance 24-07, an ordinance to designate the Clink Home, 3038 Sycamore View Road, a historic landmark.
At this time, I call Ms. Kim Taylor forward to give an explanation for the city.
The proposal before you is for the landmark for the Clink Home, which was built in 1913, and it's owned by the Clink brothers. It was the original dairy farm in Bartlett. This went before the Historic Preservation Commission and the Planning Commission, and it comes to you with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. At this time, the chair, again, this is the first reading and setting a public hearing on June the 25th. Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for June 25th.
Been properly motioned?
Second.
Properly motioned and second. Clerk, you can figure out who that was. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, present the roll, please. Ordinance 24-07 passes unanimous 6-0. Third item, Madam Clerk, read item number 3 in the record, please.
Appoint Emily Sutton to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Is Miss Emily, are you in the crowd? If you would please stand. And board, that is Miss Sutton, and I submit her name to you tonight to serve on our Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
Move we approve.
Second. Been properly motioned to seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please present the roll. And it passes 6-0. So, Emily, we look forward to working with you, and thank you for your willingness to volunteer. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you read item number 4 into the record, please?
Appoint Karen Cook Twill as Assistant City Prosecutor effective July 1st, 2024.
Ms. Twill, I know you're in the crowd. You just please stand and be recognized. There's Miss Karen Twill. I got that right, didn't I? Okay, all right. And I present Miss Karen Twill to you tonight, and would entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Properly motion to seconds. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please present the roll. And guess what, Miss Twill? Yes. At this time, I'm going to ask our Assistant City Prosecutor to come down, Ms. Twill, and we'll do the swearing in. You may bring whoever you wish to hold the Bible for you, or bring your own Bible, and we first one for you. Please place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. There we go. We got it. So, let me do a little reading here. We'll repeat after one another. I, Karen Cook Twill, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Assistant City Prosecutor.
That I will
discharge
the duties of the Assistant Prosecutor of the City of Bartlett.
There you go. You ran ahead of me a little bit. Anyway. And will uphold the charter and ordinances of the City of Bartlett.
Will uphold the charter and ordinance of the City of Bartlett.
The Constitution.
The Constitution.
The laws of the State of Tennessee.
The laws of the State of Tennessee.
And of the United States of America.
And of the United States of America.
I further swear
further swear
that I shall perform my duties as Assistant City Prosecutor
that I will perform my duties as Assistant City Prosecutor
without favor or partiality,
without favor or partiality,
and not affected by personal consideration
and not affected by personal consideration
of gain or conflict.
of gain or conflict.
We're almost there. This I do solemnly swear,
This I do solemnly swear.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present the new city prosecutor.
I appreciate the opportunity to work for the citizens of Bartlett. I've been a prosecutor for 33 years for the state, so it is a pleasure to come and work more locally and with some of the law enforcement officers that I've worked with over the last 33 years with the city of Bartlett. So I appreciate the vote of confidence with the aldermen, and I thank the mayor for recommending me.
Thank you. So, we're very fortunate to bring this amount of experience out here to the city of Bartlett. We've got good prosecutors and a very experienced prosecuting bench, and so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm going to finish up the business, and then when we finish the business, we'll come down and finish signing the documents. Thank you. Folks, we're almost there. We have an open discussion time, open to the board first. Does any board member wish to have anything they'd like to share with the audience? Alderman Quinn.
Yeah, I didn't get to say earlier because Alderman King called the vote, but I abstained from the church vote because I'm the president of Davies Manor Association and work with the neighborhood association as well, and so. But I do wish you well because it's all about the children. At the end of the day, I want them to have the best education possible. So please do well. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will recognize the directors. Is there any director wish to come forward? It looks like Community Relations Director is coming forward.
Oh, it's Food Truck Friday again, so we're so excited that this is such a well-received thing that we're doing this in Bartlett, and we're averaging 500 or so people. And so this time we have some new ones. We have the Fry Guy, so if you like French fries, this is the place to come. He's supposed to have French fries with every kind of covering on them, flavor, whatever. Chicken Salad Chick, Let's Be Frank is back because Todd likes that truck. Green Acres is like a meat and two kind of thing, and Mr. Queso's Japanese Grill and Mexican food, and Ariana's Italian Ice, Donna's Kettle Corn, and Bartlett Coffee will be back. So we'll see y'all Friday from 11 to 2, and it's supposed to be sunny for, I think, the first time. So we're excited about that. And we'll see you Friday. Thank you.
Yep. That's, 3 weeks in a row or 2 weeks in a row it rains? So, Director of Parks and Rec, Mr. Paul Wright.
On Saturday morning at also W.J. Freeman Park at the A. Keith McDonald Pavilion, not only do you have the opportunity to come to the Bartlett Station Farmers Market, but we will also have our Paws in the Park event, which is a collaboration with our Bartlett Animal Shelter. We will have at least 4 dogs that will be available for adoption day of, so come out and find your forever friend and give them a forever home, courtesy of Parks and Rec and the Bartlett Animal Shelter. And that's from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the A. Keith McDonald Pavilion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Miss Tommy Jean, we had talked, and I've slept since then. We're going to recognize y'all next month, I believe that is. Okay, good. I didn't want to jump the gun. I just want to say that I want to thank the American Legion. We had, today's Tuesday, we had for helping, for putting on a great Memorial Day event yesterday. It was well attended and heard a lot of good comments, so we're very thankful for the Bartlett area veterans and all that they bring to our community. So at this time, I open it up to the citizens forum. If a citizen has completed the open discussions form prior to the start of the meeting, they may come forward and state their name and address for the record. The citizen will have up to 3 minutes, at which time a buzzer will sound and they must sit down. The total time for open discussion is a period of 20 minutes. Does anybody wish to come forward or Seeing no one come forward, I hope this board will give us a motion to adjourn. And a second. And thank you. This concludes the business for today.